Good morning, everyone. We are going to see why the coprocessor required for 8086. We studied already the processor 8086, and now we are going to see the coprocessor, what is its needs, its architecture, data types, etc. So when coming to the 8087, the coprocessor we are going to see, it is a math coprocessor. It is mainly used for doing a complicated numerical calculation involving the floating point operations and all. So uh, this coprocessor is going to work parallelly with your main processor, and whenever the coprocessor instructions comes into the existence of a program, then the processor leaves the work to the coprocessor, and your 8087, the major coprocessor, starts its execution of operation. So math coprocessor, why it is needed? Floating point operation are really a complex one. So it is not needed by a processor to do it. It is separately handled by a math coprocessor. So that time the CPU is become idle, and it can do the any other work such as resource management, handling complications, and computing the important programs and all. So that is the major advantage of coprocessor. Uh, yeah, so that is why coprocessor. And the coprocessor, what we are going to see is 8087, and it is also a numeric coprocessor which is going to handle huge floating point manipulations also. So it is the first math coprocessor designed mainly for 8086, and it was done by Intel. It is used to pair with 8086, as I said, and as I said earlier, it speeds up your computations, which has a floating point manipulations. So it is not going to do all the simple manipulations such as addition, subtraction, and all. It's going to involve all the scientific and algebraic calculations of floating point numbers. Yeah. So if you have a coprocessor, then the main processor can be free for some time, and it allows the CPU to increase its performance by making it up for any other issues. And mainly 60 instructions are available for this 8087 coprocessor, and all the instructions starts with a letter called F. So if an instruction starts with F, then your CPU automatically handles that instructions to the 8087. So when coming to the data type, four major data types you have. One is a binary integer, packed decimal number, a real number, and real format such as a single IEEE single precision format. We are going to see one by one because it's going to be a very important 2 mark or even a part B question. Explain the 8087 data types. So coming to binary integer, the first one, three categories, subcategories you have. One is word integer, short integer, and long integer. So word integer, as the name implies, word, it is of 16 bits. It is also called defined word, and sorry, it is labeled as defined word. And the next is short integer, which is of 32 bits, also called defined double word, and long integer, 64 bits, defined quad word. And coming to next, packed decimal number, it is also having a 80 bits nearly, and it is also called defined 10 bytes. Okay, fine. And real numbers, three categories again: short real, long real, and temporary real. And each and every one is depicted as a diagram and also the number of bits associated with it. And the last one is single bit precision, which is mainly majorly occur in floating point. So we will see how to make a simple number as a single bit precision number. And this single bit unit is a pack of 32 bits. And the 32 bits is divided into three sections. The first one is a sign bit, which is of 1 bit. The next is the exponent bit of 8 bits. And finally the mantissa or floating part, which is 23 bits. Yeah, we will see a problem associated with that. So take a decimal number, assume the number is 43.625. Find the binary of it. We have studied in digital and all. So convert that 43.625 as a binary, and the respective binary is given. So how to make it in a floating point notation? See, 101011.101 can be written as 1.010 into 10 power into 2 power 5. Actually, that is not 25, it is 2 power 5. Okay, because why 5 means I have left shift that decimal point to here. So 1.01011, right? So 5 bits I moved. So that is the 2 power 5. So coming to Seinfeld, how to represent that floating number in single precision format, we will see that. So first is I said sign bit which is of only one bit. It can be either 0 or 1. If it's a 0, it's a positive number, 1 means a negative number. So we know that the given number is a positive, so put 0. Okay, and coming to exponent field, we know that the exponent field is 8 bits long. So we have 2 power 5, right? So 2 power 5 can also be written as, sorry, it must be added with 127 bits because 2 power 8 is plus or minus 128. So what I do is 5 plus 127 I added up and I'll get 132 and find the binary of 132, and that must be written on the exponent field. The last is a mantissa field which is a 23 bits long. Okay, it is also called a significant bits. So again, it is easy, nothing. What you have 0 1 0, that is apart from that, after the decimal point, whatever you have, that you write first and append by all the remaining zeros of 23 bits. So what is it? I have 0 1 0 triple 1 0 1 followed by the remaining zeros. So if I add everything, I can have 23 bits. So this is the easy way of finding the single precision number of decimal number. You can practice this problems because it can be asked in a 2 mark. Now move on to the architecture of 8087. It has majorly 2 units, numeric execution unit and control unit. All the numerical problems, the floating point executions, manipulations will be handled by NU, numerical execution unit. The control instructions, the segregation of address and data lines, everything will be handled by control unit. I can see here, this is the architecture. Yeah, it is not going to have any buses. We know that coprocessor is not going to have any separate bus. Whatever the bus it needs for its operation, it must get it from the main processor. Here it is 8086. So whenever the instruction starts with the F comes into the existence of main program, the instruction control is shifted or transferred to the 8257, and the bus is also transferred. So 8257 completes that computational work and give again handover back to 8086. So this is about this, and you can see you have a number of stack registers. I have 8 stack registers and each stack register is of 80 bit. Why the stack register? Because you need to store a lot of temporary results since it involves numerical calculations. Okay, so 2 units, control unit and numerical execution unit. Remember, it's a very important 2 marks. Stack is of 8 registers and each register is 80 bit wide. And this is how it is connected with the 8086. Yeah, you can see 8087 which is connected with the 8086. This is the diagram. I have 2 processor. One is the main processor 8086 and the second is 8087 which is a numeric coprocessor. And you can see address and data lines are multiplexed here, and it is given to both this and this, and this busy pin is connected with a test pin. That means whenever your 8087 is busy, then 8086 will be idle, and when it completes it, it becomes low, then your 8086 starts its operation. Yes, and apart from that, request and grant, all the signals are connected, and interrupt output is connected to NMI input of this intimates an error condition. We have studied what is NMI, non-maskable interrupt. So that must be connected with the NMI pin. Fine. So yeah, a wait instruction is passed to keep looking at the test pin until it finds low. So that 8087 when it completes, then the busy pin is become low, which proceed with the 8086 operation. And that's it. Thank you.